The image has a name. A Super Saiyan God.
Beerus!
So what can you tell me about the existence of this Super Saiyan God?
Regular Super Saiyan, sure. But that's a no on the God stuff, buddy.
See, my lord, it's as I suspected. This wasn't a true premonition, it was just a dream, the random thoughts of a sleeping mind.
Possibly. Except I'm not the only one who dreamed it. The Oracle Fish saw it as well. Let's ask Prince Vegeta what he knows. Greeting. Now then, there'll be something useful about this Super Saiyan God.
A Super Saiyan God?
Seems letting me down is your kind special.
On the planet of the God of Destruction, it was possible to see Beerus sitting high on a branch of the tree that was connected to his home. The God of Destruction from the 7th universe had one of his hands resting on his leg and had a thoughtful expression on his face. His face soon turned into one of boredom and anger, which left Whis surprised by the sudden change of expressions that his God of Destruction was having, which made the angel approach Beerus.
Did something happen, Mr. Beerus? You've been in that tree thinking about something for a long time, and your facial expressions are changing very quickly. Whis asked his God of Destruction, who sighed irritably.
It's no big deal. I was just thinking about that prophetic dream of mine that ended up taking me to Goku and Vegeta, and ended up inserting them both into the world of divine beings, which thanks to that, we are all alive after all. If it weren't for that dream, I wouldn't have gone to Goku and Vegeta, and they wouldn't have become strong enough to match the divine beings. And thanks to that, these two Saiyans became strong enough to face warriors from other universes and win the Tournament of Power. And also, without Goku, the tournament wouldn't even happen, and we would all be completely erased. Commented Beerus, while looking at his master, and also assistant, who analyzed the words of the God of Destruction. Well, the angel had to agree with that thought.
Analyzing everything that happened, really that prophetic dream of yours ended up saving the lives of all of you. But in your dream, you faced the Super Saiyan God, and possibly lost the battle, but you fought against Goku, and didn't even need to get to the half of your strength, which was actually impressive considering it was a mere mortal who made you use some of your true strength. But why all this now? Was asked without understanding why Beerus was talking about that subject that the angel had already forgotten, and imagined that Beerus had also forgotten.
The battle against Son Goku was fun because I fought seriously after centuries or millennia. But it still wasn't the battle I wanted to have. After I found out about that Yamoshi guy, I thought I could finally face someone strong who would make me use all my power for real or go beyond it. But Yamoshi has been dead for a long time, and that worthless Shenron wouldn't be able to bring Yamoshi back to life so I could face him. Unfortunately for me, Shenron's power is very small, and he can't do anything more than bring some mortals back to life. Shenron can't even bring back a planet life. Otherwise, Vegeta would have already brought his home planet along with the Saiyans who died during the planet's explosion in a very simple way. Shenron is completely useless to me, Beerus said, a little irritated with Shenron's incompetence. After all, even though Shenron was a wish dragon, he wasn't useful for anything that was really in Beerus's interests.
Shenron's power is linked to one of the Namekians who live on planet Earth, and he is not that strong, and that is why Shenron himself is not that strong. Did you want him to be stronger so you could bring Yamoshi back to life, just so you could face him and have a real battle where you wouldn't know if you would win or not? Whis asked his God of Destruction. The angel was very surprised by Beerus's desire, because the God of Destruction did not appear to be dissatisfied with his old battles.
Beerus said, "Yes, I want to find someone that I can really fight seriously, and that I don't know if I can beat or not. When I fought against Son Goku, I really wanted to fight for fun, because I knew that Goku wouldn't be able to defeat me. That's why I wasn't that excited, because I knew that Goku wasn't the one I was waiting for to defeat me. I knew he wasn't the Saiyan I had seen in that dream of mine." Beerus said with an excited smile on his face, showing his desire for a fight that could really make him lose. This feeling he hadn't felt in thousands of years, and Beerus really wanted to have that same feeling again.
I knew that Mr. Beerus was getting bored because he didn't have any opponents for him to face and have fun during combat, and I always swore that Mr. Beerus allowed me to train Goku and Vegeta so that they could someday face him so much that when Mr. Beerus found out about Broly, he was happy. And I thought that Beerus might want to face Broly in the future, but I never thought that he would be so bored to the point that he wanted to bring Yamoshi back to life just so he could face him and possibly be defeated. I think Mr. Beerus was happy to see the Saiyans progress even more after Goku and Vegeta became more motivated when they saw Gohan using a new transformation. Perhaps this made Mr. Beerus want to have a fight with a warrior who really makes him excited, not knowing if he would be able to win. Was thought to himself as he looked at his god of destruction and remembered the facial expressions he sometimes saw when he looked at Beerus.
I wish I could face someone as strong as this Yamoshi. I don't know if he is as strong as I'm expecting. After all, Yamoshi existed thousands of years ago, and I should feel his power if Yamoshi had demonstrated a great level of power. But I was always sleeping at that time, so the chances of me being asleep while he was living is quite large. Perhaps if I hadn't slept so much, I could have faced him or faced opponents as powerful as Yamoshi, who lived during the several years I spent sleeping. Now I'm really upset that I stayed asleep for so many years. If I wasn't so lazy, I would have had several magnificent fights. Beerus said, in a tone upset with himself for having spent so many years sleeping, which probably prevented him from having several fights.
Since you want so much to fight someone strong like Yamoshi that you most want to face because of your prophetic dream, why don't you use the power of the Wish Dragon and make a wish for Yamoshi to come back to life at his peak of his power and age? Because there are good chances that Yamoshi died of old age, and even though he is strong, if Yamoshi is old, he will not be in the best condition. Now if he returns young and with his power at its peak of his life, he could offer a worthy combat that you so desire, Sir Beerus. Said the angel to the god of destruction, that upon hearing his angel's words, Beerus smiled, because he could do that.
It's true. I can use a wishing dragon to bring Yamoshi back to life. I know Shenron won't be able to bring him back to life, even at the height of his power. Maybe that other wish dragon called Porunga. No, he's just a little stronger than Shenron, so maybe I can use that dragon called Torombo, that Granola used to get really strong so he could get revenge. But maybe Torombo won't be able to bring Yamoshi back to life either. At the height of his power after all, even though Granola used his desire, he didn't become as strong as I am, Beerus said thoughtfully as he analyzed what he could do.
Or we could go get the Super Dragon Balls and summon Super Shenron. If he was able to bring thousands of living beings back to life, along with entire universes, Super Shenron should be able to bring Yamoshi back to life. And with his power at maximum, Yamoshi should be able to eliminate all the gods of destruction and all the angels together. Said the angel while looking at his master, who, upon hearing that, jumped excitedly.
Whis, let's go to planet Earth now, and we will go after the Super Dragon radar and all the Super Dragon Balls to bring Yamoshi back to life, said the god of destruction with a big smile on his face.
Guys, before continuing this epic story, leave your like, and of course, if you want to help the channel, leave your super thanks below and help the channel financially, and also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any news.
Currently in the 7th universe, more precisely on planet Earth, it was possible to see that in the Capsule Corporation, a small meeting was taking place between the Z warriors and their families. Almost everyone was there having fun while eating and discussing the future and what they expected, that it would happen like the battle against Frieza in the future, except that among the Z warriors present, there were some guests who in this case were Broly and his friends who ended up being invited to participate in that meeting to get together a little. Everyone's attention was focused on the food and drinks, as well as the topics they were talking about. Some were serious and others not so much, but soon everyone's attention was turned to the sky where all the Saiyans who were present were making a quick training between them. Everyone was in their base forms while training, as everyone was strong even in their base forms. The Saiyans were generating some impact waves that only didn't affect the weaker people in the place, because Bulma had developed a barrier around the Capsule Corporation that was strong enough to stop an attack from Vegeta in his Super Saiyan God form. So if they didn't fight at that level or one above, everyone would stay safe inside the barrier. Why am I not surprised? These Saiyans really can't stay without training or fighting each other, and even Broly, who appeared to be quieter, is becoming more like Goku and Vegeta. They never miss an opportunity to fight someone strong or on the same level from them. Bulma said before sighing, after all, she knew very well the instincts of always wanting to fight that Saiyans possessed, and that her eldest son ended up inheriting. It's not bad that they train all the time. After all, you never know when a new threat will appear or when an old one will return to try to do something against us or against planet Earth. Don't forget that Frieza hasn't shown up yet since that day when he showed off his new transformation and named it Black Frieza and defeated Goku and Vegeta in just a few blows. Frieza is now stronger than those two, so it's good that Goku and Vegeta keep fighting to finish Frieza next time, said Piccolo, sitting in an empty chair next to Gohan's, who was in the middle of that Saiyan battle. Looking at it that way, you're not wrong in that aspect, Piccolo. Frieza is a very big threat to all of us, not only to us and our planet, but also to the entire 7th universe. After all, that guy is a lunatic who probably wants the position of destroyer of Beerus, and if at some point he achieves that, we will be very screwed. Bulma said when analyzing a possible future with Frieza as a god of destruction and what he would do, and this did not please Bulma at all. Frieza has always been a threat since the time we found out about the Saiyans when we faced Raditz, and we should have left him to rot in hell, but unfortunately we had to ask for his help to win the Tournament of Power, as Majin Buu ended up sleeping and could not participate in that state. Well, I think Frieza won't act for now. He knows that even though he is the most powerful mortal in the 7th universe at the moment, he is still not on the same level as Beerus, who would erase him from existence if Frieza ever tried to face Beerus. After all, Frieza knows Goku and Vegeta's power level, but he has never seen Beerus using his full power and doesn't know if he is on the same level as the god of destruction, something that I really doubt he is in his current state, Piccolo said, remembering that no one at the moment knows the true extent of Beerus's powers, which could be making Frieza hold back before doing anything at that moment for pure fear of being eliminated by Beerus, and this time it would be permanent. Yes, Frieza must probably be preparing something to be able to get rid of Beerus or somehow block his powers so as not to be completely destroyed by Beerus, but anything we can count on with Goku and Vegeta using fusion to become Gogeta, and this fusion is very strong as it is the combination of Goku and Vegeta's powers, so we have hope to be able to defeat Frieza. Bulma said when remembering Gogeta and Broly, who was in the middle of that battle between Saiyans, ended up feeling a shiver down his spine when remembering the way he was defeated by the fusion of the strongest Saiyans. The conversations between them continued, as did the fighting between the Saiyans, but soon a pillar of multicolored energy appeared in the Capsule Corporation, and everyone already knew who was responsible for that pillar of energy. Soon the pillar of energy dispersed and Beerus and Whis left. Beerus had a big smile on his face, which attracted Bulma's attention, as she didn't often see that joy on the face of the god of destruction of her universe, and that made the woman curious about his happiness. Apparently you're happy today, Beerus. Did something happen to make you look like this? Bulma asked, looking at the god of destruction of her universe, who kept a smile on his face, and the woman's speech ended up attracting the attention of the Saiyans, who stopped the training fight between them.
Did something happen, Mr. Beerus? You don't look like you came here just for socializing, and by your face you look really excited about something. It even looks like the day you fought Kakarot because of that vision of yours about the Super Saiyan God, where we had to do that ritual, said Vegeta as he landed on the lawn and began to approach the god of destruction, as well as the other Saiyans who were curious.
No, Vegeta. I didn't come to the get-together this time. I came here today because I want to get the Super Dragon Radar to go after the Super Dragon Balls because I want to make a wish for Super Shenron, Beerus said, surprising everyone, as he was there to get the Dragon's Super Radar.
Do you want to make a wish for Super Shenron? But why does it need to be Super Shenron? Bulma has already gathered the Dragon Balls here on Earth, so you can use them to fulfill your wish. After all, your wish must be related to food, since you really like eating different foods and foods from other planets. Goku asked, curious about why Beerus needed the Super Dragon Balls when he could only use the normal Dragon Balls.
No. The Dragon Balls from planet Earth summon normal Shenron, which is too weak for my wish. and that's why I want to go after the Super Dragon Balls to summon Super Shenron and make my wish. Beerus said with a certain anger at the normal Shenron who, in Beerus's eyes, was very weak.
What do you need that only Super Shenron can accomplish? Goku asked, curious about what wish Beerus wanted to make.
I'm going to bring Yamoshi back to life. I want to face him and have a great battle, said Beerus, and all those who knew who Yamoshi was were surprised by Beerus's revelation, while those who didn't know were confused by the astonished faces of the people who knew who this being was.
Mr. Beerus believes that his prophetic dream has not yet come true, and that is why he wants to fight against Yamoshi. And Mr. Beerus wants to use the power of Super Shenron to bring Yamoshi back to life at the height of his power and form physics, so they can fight. Spoke Whis before receiving the dragon's super radar from Bulma's hands, who was also surprised by the revelation.
Now if you'll excuse me, I have to go because we have to bring a certain Saiyan back to life, Beerus said excitedly, and before anyone could say anything, Beerus and Whis disappeared into a pillar of energy and went after the Super Dragon Balls.
Currently in the 7th universe, more precisely on the edges of that universe, it was possible to see Whis and Beerus in a pillar of energy flying through space until they landed in an asteroid zone. And when looking at the center, they saw the last of the super spheres of Dragon that was covered by some asteroids that ended up hitting it, and thus forming a small crust that was covering almost the entire sphere. But there were some cracks that were releasing the golden glow of the Super Dragon Ball. Whis said, "We finally found the last Super Dragon Balls, and since this is the last, it must be the 3-star sphere that was missing. With it, we have all the Super Dragon Balls necessary to summon Super Shenron and make your wish, Sir Beerus," said Whis to Beerus, who had a big smile on his face as he looked at the last Super Dragon Ball that was missing. Beerus said, "Yes, with the 3-star Super Dragon Ball, we will have all 7 spheres necessary to be able to summon Super Shenron, and with that, I will be able to bring Yamoshi back to life at the height of his power and his age. After all, it wouldn't be fun to face someone old and weak, because what really defeats powerful mortals is age and time. So facing a younger version of Yamoshi would be the best option for me to have the battle I so desire, which is to fight against Yamoshi, the true Super Saiyan God," Beerus said in a very excited tone as he approached the Super Dragon Ball that now looked very similar to a planet made of black rocks. When Beerus approached the Dragon Ball, he placed his hand on the stones that were covering the sphere, and in the place where Beerus placed his hand, Beerus's purple energy of destruction began to destroy all those purple ones, and shortly after there was a small explosion that destroyed all the rocks, leaving only the 3-star Super Dragon Ball free and without any scratches. Beerus said, "Good thing, I thought that if I used my power of destruction in an uncontrolled way, I would cause some damage to the Super Dragon Ball, and this could end up weakening the sphere," Beerus said before giving a sigh, seeing that the Super Dragon Ball was intact. Whis said, "Mr. Beerus, I believe that even if you used your full power, you wouldn't even make a scratch on the Super Dragon Balls, and in reality I don't think even me or my brothers could make a scratch in the Super Dragon Balls," said Whis while looking at his master, who, upon hearing the angel's speech, ended up widening his eyes, since the difference in power between the gods of destruction and the angels was enormous, and if not even they could scratch the Dragon Super Balls, then no one would make it. Beerus said, "That's not possible. Goku and Vegeta said that Zamasu managed to destroy the Super Dragon Balls so that no one would be able to use them again, so how could an angel like you not be able to do that?" Beerus asked his angel. Whis said, "Zamasu managed to destroy those Super Dragon Balls because he managed to cut their bond with their original creator, Zalama, and thanks to that, the Super Dragon Balls lost their powers and became giant stone spheres that were easily destroyed, and Zamasu destroyed them. But as long as the bond with Zalama exists, they will be indestructible." Whis said to his master that upon hearing that explanation, he understood why the Super Dragon Balls had been destroyed by future Zamasu. Beerus spoke, "Zalama, the creator of the Super Dragon Balls, known as the Dragon God, you had said that the power of the Dragon Gods that come out of the Dragon Balls has a power corresponding to that of their creators. So this means that Zalama is a being whose strengths are far above mine and yours, which means that he is probably at the same power level as the High Priest, perhaps a little stronger than him or a little weaker, but that the two are at a similar power level is irrefutable," Beerus said with a hand on his chin thoughtfully and a little afraid of the power level of the Dragon God Zalama.
Guys, before continuing this epic story, leave your like, and of course if you want to help the channel, leave your super thanks below and help the channel financially, and also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any news.
Whis said, Yes, Zalama must be as strong as my father. Which of the two is stronger is a big doubt that we won't find out anytime soon, but that they are among the strongest of all 12 universes is a certainty. Well, now is the time to use the Super Dragon Balls to summon Super Shenron to make your wish, Sir Beerus, said Whis while looking at his master, who just laughed excitedly at that. Beerus said, "You're right, Whis. Let's invoke the Super Shenron right now and hope that Yamoshi comes back to life at the peak of his strength and age so that he doesn't get in the way of our fight," Beerus said with a big smile on his face. Whis, obeying his master's orders, hit his staff in the air, and from within the dimension inside the staff, the other 6 Super Dragon Balls appeared and were close to the 3-star sphere. Seeing all 7 Super Dragon Balls gathered, Beerus approached Whis, who began to invoke Super Shenron, speaking in the language of the gods, and when he finished, all 7 Dragon Balls shone brightly, and a golden light ended up appearing, and all the universes were able to feel the presence of Super Shenron, who was a gigantic golden dragon with red eyes. Beerus said, "Whis, say exactly what I say to Super Shenron in the language of the gods, since mine is a little rusty, and I don't want anything to go wrong. I wish that Yamoshi, the one who gave rise to the myth of the Super Saiyan God, returns to life at the height of his power and age. I want the moment Yamoshi returns to life that he appears on planet Earth very close to the Capsule Corporation," Beerus said while looking at his angel, and upon hearing his master's words, the angel repeated everything to Super Shenron, only speaking in the language of the gods. After Whis spoke of Beerus's wish for Super Shenron, the strongest dragon god agreed, and then his eyes and entire body began to shine brightly, and soon a type of explosion happened, and Super Shenron returned inside the Super Dragon Balls that disappeared from the site, spreading throughout the 6th and 7th universe. Beerus said, "Well, if everything goes the way I expect, Yamoshi should now be alive and should be on planet Earth, and will probably be in the Capsule Corporation, so let's go to planet Earth right now, Whis," Beerus said before holding his angel's shoulder so they could travel at high speed. Whis said, "Of course, Sir Beerus," said Whis before hitting his staff, and then several lights surrounded them, and then Whis and Beerus began to go to planet Earth inside a beam of energy that had several different colors. Planet Earth. Currently on planet Earth, more precisely in the Capsule Corporation, it was possible to see that there were still some people in the place even though it was night, and the main ones were Goku, Vegeta and their families, along with some other people like Broly, who was still there as he would end up sleeping in the Capsule Corporation that night at the insistence of Bulma, who thought it would be a good idea as Bulma had enjoyed talking to Broly's friend Chilai. Suddenly, in the middle of the Capsule Corporation's lawn, a golden light appeared, attracting the attention of everyone present, especially the warriors. Seconds passed and the golden light disappeared, and from it, a woman very similar to Goku appeared. She was practically a female version of Goku, but she had a monkey tail and was wearing clothes made from animal hides. Before anyone could react, Broly, out of pure instinct, ended up attacking the woman because he felt she was dangerous. When Broly approached, he tried to punch the woman, but she easily caught Broly's fist and in the next instant punched the Saiyan in the abdomen and then caught him and threw him over his shoulder, causing Broly to hit his back hard on the ground. The woman, seeing that he was her opponent, tried to punch Broly, but Goku appeared using his teleportation next to Broly and took him out of there, returning to Vegeta's side, making the girl's punch hit the ground, generating a small earthquake. And when he saw that he had made a mistake, Yamoshi looked at the Saiyans. Goku said if she had managed to land that blow on Broly, he would be pretty hurt now, but when she saw that she wouldn't hit Broly anymore, she reduced the strength of the blow so as not to destroy the place where we are. Perhaps because it is an area flat and easy to see us, and if this area were changed, it would be bad for your field of vision. This woman is really strong, Vegeta, said Goku, who was in a combat stance in case that woman tried to advance towards them. Vegeta said, "You don't need to tell me the obvious, Kakarot. This woman was able to easily defend herself and counter Broly's blow. It was so easy for her that it was ridiculous to see her dominance over Broly. In fact, next time think before attacking your opponent like you just did, Broly," said Vegeta to Broly, who was beside him, getting up and getting into a combat stance. Broly said, "Sorry, the moment she appeared I felt something inside me that left me with a certain fear, so I ended up acting on impulse and moving towards her with the intention of defeating her as quickly as possible," Broly said while staring at the mysterious woman who wore clothes made from animal hide, which reminded him of his time before meeting Chilai. Gohan said, "She is wearing clothes made from animal skin and leather, which shows that where she came from people are not as developed, but she also has pants similar to those of the Saiyans." Mr. Beerus said that he would use the Super Dragon Balls to bring the first Super Saiyan God back to life. "So that means that this woman in front of us is actually Yamoshi," said Gohan after observing everything that was happening. And then Gohan remembered what Beerus said he would do, and this theory ended up making everyone surprised. Vegeta said, "Yamoshi, the first Super Saiyan God, is a woman," said Vegeta, really surprised by that because he thought that Yamoshi was a man and not a woman so similar to his rival. Yamoshi said, "Is there a problem with me being a woman? Because if there is, it's better to say it to my face, and besides, where am I and why am I so young? I remember I was facing a group of space pirates who were trying to destroy my best friend's planet, and I ended up dying during the fight, and I looked much older than I do now," said Yamoshi, looking at herself before looking at the people around her, and she soon looked at Goku and noticed the similarity between them. Before anyone could say anything to Yamoshi, she disappeared and reappeared in front of Goku holding his face. Goku, upon feeling the woman's touch, he tried to move away, but Yamoshi held his face hard enough that Goku couldn't get away from her. Goku thought, "What strength is this? I can't move, much less get away from her in my base form. Maybe if I transform I can get away from Yamoshi, but if I do that she might think I'm a threat and try to attack me. Even though I like facing powerful individuals, I don't know if I'll be able to face Yamoshi. After all, I don't know how strong she is, and I could end up being killed with just one blow." Goku thought while looking at Yamoshi, who was analyzing him, surprised by the similarity between her appearances. Yamoshi said, "You are very similar to me, so similar that I would say you are my twin brother, but I know I don't have brothers. This place is different from the planets I've been to, and these clothes are also different, so you must have very advanced technology, or somehow I ended up in the future and I'm younger, I don't know how, but I stayed younger," said Yamoshi as she looked at Goku, and then looked around seeing the people and structures, and after a while she moved away from Goku. Bulma said, "From what she said, Yamoshi really is the first Saiyan to achieve the power of a Super Saiyan God. In her case, she would be the first Super Saiyan Goddess. To answer your previous questions, Miss Yamoshi, you are on planet Earth, and the reason you are here and so young is because Beerus, the god of destruction of the 7th universe, used the power of the Super Dragon Balls to summon Super Shenron, and using the power of the dragon, you were able to come back to life at the height of your age so that you and he could face each other in an epic combat. Because years ago, Beerus ended up having a prophetic dream where he would face a very powerful Saiyan. Beerus thought that this Saiyan, that man you were holding, was Goku, but Beerus saw that he was wrong and it wasn't Goku, so Beerus decided to bring you back to life, Yamoshi, for the two of you to fight," Bulma said, summarizing the latest events for Yamoshi, who took one of her hands to his chin in a thoughtful way. Yamoshi said, "I understand, so I actually ended up dying in that fight, and now I'm back to life with my younger appearance. Luckily, I was already missing being so beautiful, and apparently in addition to my beauty, my strength is back to the same as when I was young. In fact, I'm even stronger than I was back then. This Beerus must have wanted me to return to life at the peak of my full strength. I don't know this Beerus guy, but I thank him for bringing me back to life," said Yamoshi while smiling. Then Yamoshi took a deep breath and released some of her power. The Yamoshi woman began to release some of her energy. Everyone around was surprised to feel Yamoshi's energy, and even those who were not warriors could feel a great weight on their bodies. But Yamoshi was not releasing 100%. His true power was just a small fraction that was enough to generate a key storm, causing several rays to come out of her aura, and the earth around her was shaking and cracking, which surprised everyone, even Yamoshi, who didn't expect to be that strong. Yamoshi thought, "I'm surprised to be this strong. I never stopped training even when I was older, and managed to maintain a certain level of power considerably stronger than most of the other races in the universe. But now that I'm younger, my power has been increased to a level I never thought of. In reality, I must be stronger than when I transformed into that form where my hair turned red. I think they call that form Super Saiyan God, who ended up becoming a legend. I never imagined that a low-class Saiyan like me would become a legend just by facing those Saiyans who lost their senses when they transformed into Uzuru in the past." Yamoshi thought, surprised to see how strong she was now, and even more surprised to know that she became a legend, even though she was a woman. It didn't take long for a pillar of energy to appear on the lawn of the Capsule Corporation, and from that pillar, Beerus and Whis appeared, who upon arriving noticed Yamoshi's energy, and Beerus automatically became excited to face her. But soon Beerus noticed that the powerful Yamoshi was in reality a woman. Beerus wasn't expecting that. Vegeta said, apparently you were also surprised by the fact that Yamoshi was a woman. I think Shenron forgot to specify that he was actually a she, said Vegeta when he noticed the expression on Beerus' face that seemed like he didn't expect to see that the famous warrior was actually a woman. We said, apparently the legendary warrior who will help Mr. Beerus to have a real battle is a woman, and a very powerful woman who looks a lot like Mr. Goku. Maybe he is even a descendant of her, or they have some similar ancestor to be so similar to each other, said Whis when looking at Goku and Yamoshi and seeing that the two are extremely similar to each other. Beerus said, so this is really Yamoshi, the legendary Saiyan warrior who was able to become a deity in the past and defeat the evil Saiyans who were destroying everything on the Saiyan planet. Beerus asked, a little shocked by the fact that Yamoshi was a woman and not a man like he was expecting. Yamoshi said, it seems like everyone today is enjoying saying my name and comparing me to a man. I don't know if you know, but Yamoshi is a female name for us Saiyans, and if you two don't know this, then you have forgotten even the basic teachings about your own race, and that is really a shame. And it is an even greater shame that you didn't teach to their descendants the basics about the culture of their people, said Yamoshi, pointing at Goku, Vegeta, and Broly. The three were surprised to see that Yamoshi discovered that they were Saiyans, even without having their tails. But what surprised Goku and Vegeta most was the fact that she knew that the two already had children. Goku said, how do you know that Vegeta and I are Saiyans and that we both have descendants? We don't tell you anything about our lives, so how do you know these things? After all, we don't have our Saiyan tails on, so you know we are Saiyans, asked Goku, surprised to hear Yamoshi's words, who just sighed as if that question was something stupid for her. Yamoshi said, this is a stupid question to ask the one who has the title of Goddess of the Saiyans. But to answer your question, when a being becomes a divine being of their race, that being gains the ability to feel other members of their race, and knowing how pure your lineage is. And that's why I know that you three and those others are Saiyans, but only you three are pure blood Saiyans, and they are half-breeds or hybrids, whatever you want to call them, said Yamoshi while pointing to each of the Saiyans present in that place, which surprised everyone except Beerus and Whis, who knew about that information. Whis spoke. She's totally right about that matter. When a mortal becomes a divine being, he gains the ability to recognize any descendant of his race, even if the lineage is very distant, and in his DNA there are almost no traces of that lineage in question. So that is why Yamoshi was able to recognize each one of you, and that's why she knew you were Saiyans, said Whis while looking at the Saiyans who faced the angel. Yamoshi said, in the past I thought I had gone crazy when I saw an angel on the planet of the Saiyans, but apparently you are a real angel, and you haven't changed anything in the last centuries or millennia, said Yamoshi, looking at Whis, who looked at her and smiled as he remembered the past. Whis said, really, I never thought that that little girl who said she would overcome all her limits and become a legend would achieve her goal, much less that after many years I would see you again, said Whis, while looking at Yamoshi, who surprised everyone with his speech, especially Beerus, who had no idea that Whis knew Yamoshi. Beerus said, did you already know Yamoshi, Whis? Why didn't you say that before? Beerus asked his angel, who sighed before answering his master's question. Whis said, yes, I met her when she was a young Saiyan who was training on the banks of a lake. At that time I was just exploring some planets and collecting some information about some races, but I ended up talking to Yamoshi, but I never got to ask her name, so when they talked about Yamoshi I didn't know who this Yamoshi guy was, but now I realized that that little girl really ended up fulfilling her dream of being the strongest warrior of her race, and from what I can see she became the strongest among the Saiyans of the past and present, Whis said while looking at Yamoshi, who gave a slightly arrogant smile. Yamoshi said, from what they told me, I was brought back to life to be able to face the god of destruction of this universe called Beerus. If I remember correctly, it must be the purple cat next to the angel, but if you allow me, I would like to face those three Saiyans first. I'm interested in knowing the power level of the last pure members of my race. After all, apparently there are only 4 totally pure Saiyans, and they are all men, which means that their heirs will be half-breeds or hybrids, so I'm curious to know the level of power that pure-blood Saiyans possess nowadays, and after that, I can face this god of destruction, said Yamoshi while looking at the 3 Saiyans who were excited to face their ancestor. But soon they looked at Beerus and saw that he was irritated as he was being practically ignored by Yamoshi, even though Beerus was the strongest among everyone in that place. Beerus said, "You were reborn for a purpose, which is to fight me, and that's why I used a wish that could do anything, but I decided to bring you back to life so you could face me, and that's exactly what you're going to do. After our fight, you can face them. That is if I don't eliminate you during our fight, of course, but if you insist on that, then I will have to eliminate you right now without a fight or anything." Beerus said with a serious expression on his face as he pointed his hand at Yamoshi and generated a small sphere of energy of destruction. Yamoshi, upon seeing that scene, sighed and began to walk towards Beerus, getting in front of his blow, and with that, she took his fingers and brought them to Beerus's wrist, making him point the sphere of destruction in Yamoshi's face. Yamoshi said, "Don't think that threatening my life will change anything. I've died before and I don't have such a great love for my life to the point of caring about anything. And as I've lived for a long time, I don't have anyone really important in my life for you to threaten. If you want to eliminate me here and now, then do it, because I don't obey anyone and you are not an exception," said Yamoshi, looking at Beerus without caring about that sphere of destruction in front of her, and that surprised everyone with the courage of that Saiyan. Beerus faced the Saiyan and growled, irritated at her audacity, but even though he wanted to end that woman, Beerus lowered his hand and undid the sphere of destruction, because even though he wanted to end Yamoshi, it wouldn't make sense for him to do that at that moment and waste his desire on Super Shenron. Beerus said, "Have fun fighting Goku, Vegeta, and Broly. After fighting them, you will fight me, and be aware that before I just wanted to face you to find out if you are really that strong, but now I will make a point of eliminating you, and when I defeat you, I will eliminate you for sure," Beerus said with a very irritated expression on his face as he walked away and sat in a corner facing Yamoshi, who ignored him and compared Beerus's actions to the actions of a spoiled child. Yamoshi said, "These clothes are bad for fighting, so could you give me different clothes, Whis? If possible, I would like to wear the same clothes as my male version," Yamoshi said, looking at Whis and then at Goku. Whis waved and hit his staff on the ground, and with that, Yamoshi's clothes disappeared, leaving her naked. But unfortunately for the perverts present, they couldn't see anything because smoke appeared covering her private parts, and soon a new pair of clothes appeared on his body. His new clothes were the same as what Goku wore. Yamoshi said, "These clothes are comfortable, so it would be good to wear in combat. Well, now I'm going to fight against the three of you, and before we start, you better come with full power, otherwise you'll end up taking more hits than necessary," Yamoshi said, looking at the three Saiyans who nodded in agreement. The battle between Yamoshi Girl against Goku, Broly, and Vegeta was about to begin, but before that, for the safety of planet Earth, Whis hit his staff on the ground, making all the Saiyans disappear from that place and reappear in the dimension that was inside Whis' stick, and as everyone wanted to see the combat, Whis generated some holographic screens so that everyone could see that battle. Yamoshi said, "So come and show me the power of the last generation of pure Saiyans and don't disappoint me," said Yamoshi while looking at the trio of Saiyans who faced each other for a few brief seconds and waved at each other. Soon, two large blue auras appeared. This attracted the interest of Yamoshi, who realized that these auras were similar to the power of the Super Saiyan God she knew, and it wasn't long before Goku and Vegeta appeared in front of her with their fists armed and aimed at her face. But Yamoshi dodged it by ducking, and soon after she ended up taking a jump, dodging a punch from Broly that appeared suddenly. The Yamoshi woman, now more excited, began to take that battle a little more seriously and began to land a blow on Broly, but the punch was so strong that the legendary Saiyan Broly fainted after she did so. Yamoshi went towards Vegeta with a sequence of consecutive blows to vital points on his body, but reducing the force only to hurt him and not to kill him. Vegeta, feeling the pain of the blows, ended up using his final flash at close range on Yamoshi, who disappeared and reappeared behind Vegeta, hitting him with a kick from top to bottom, making Vegeta hit the ground, and then he ended up being hit by a rain of ki spheres that ended up making the Prince of Saiyans faint because of the pain. Yamoshi instinctively dodged a kick made by Goku, who was now using Ultra Instinct, which left Yamoshi very surprised and curious to know what form Goku was using to turn his hair white. This transformation made Yamoshi remember something. Goku, taking advantage of his speed and agility that had been improved by Ultra Instinct, rushed towards Yamoshi and began to attack the goddess of Saiyans, who was easily able to defend herself from Goku's externally fast blows. But the moment Yamoshi began counter-attacking, she saw that Goku was able to dodge her blows, which surprised Yamoshi and made her understand a little about the technique, because Goku had been surprised when he started to dodge, showing that he wasn't doing it of his own free will, but rather his body. Who was dodging those blows? Goku, seeing an opening in Yamoshi's attacks, the Saiyajin managed to repel one of them and concentrated his energy in his fist and hit Yamoshi, finally generating a large shockwave. But Goku realized that his blow had been defended by Yamoshi, who held Goku's fist while a yellow aura surrounded his hand, and when he raised his face, Yamoshi smiled and released his energy, transforming into a Super Saiyan to the shock of Goku, who didn't even have time to react when thousands of punches ended up hitting him like meteors. And when Yamoshi finally stopped, it was when she realized that Goku had already fainted, and with that, he returned to his base form and fell to the ground without the strength to continue fighting. Beerus said, "So this is the power level of Yamoshi, the first goddess of the Saiyans." I have to say that it was surprising to see this demonstration of power, and I'm really excited to be able to face this woman and see how strong she really is. After all, Yamoshi only demonstrated a little of his strength using the Super Saiyan transformation, but she hasn't shown her full power yet, as she hasn't transformed into a Super Saiyan god yet, and I really want to see how strong she really is when she's using her full power. Beerus said, getting up and leaving everyone surprised to see that there was an aura of destruction around Beerus, an aura created by his desire to face Yamoshi. Beerus wanted to use his full power against someone who could withstand a real battle against him. Whis spoke, "I have to say that I'm really surprised to see that Yamoshi was this strong. I didn't remember seeing such a great display of power among mortals millennia ago, but perhaps Yamoshi used something to hide his powers of divine beings in the past." Whis said, looking at the holographic screen, a little surprised by Yamoshi's demonstration of power, who was looking straight ahead as if he were facing a camera. Beerus said, "Whis, the battle between them is over, so remove those 3 idiotic Saiyans quickly, because now it's my turn to face this woman and see if that prophetic dream of mine was really right, and Yamoshi will be the woman capable of defeating me." Beerus said, intensifying his aura, making cracks on the floor of the entire Capsule Corporation. Bulma thought, and here I go again spending money on reforms at the Capsule Corporation, because someone can't control the will to fight and is causing cracks throughout the Capsule Corporation just by releasing their aura. Bulma thought, looking at the Capsule Corporation and seeing several cracks appearing. This made Bulma sigh, already thinking about the cost she would incur in fixing that. Whis said, "I will do it immediately, Sir Beerus," said Whis before hitting his staff on the ground, and suddenly Goku, Vegeta and Broly appeared unconscious and badly injured, and it didn't take long for Beerus to disappear from that place and reappear within the dimension where Yamoshi was. Yamoshi said, "Apparently you were really eager to face me. You didn't even wait for my battle against those Saiyans to end, and you already took them out of that dimension and came to face me. Well, at least this way it doesn't waste so much of my time, and that battle really didn't tire me out at all, so I don't need to rest," said Yamoshi in a proud tone while looking at Beerus, who was emanating the energy of destruction. Yamoshi was still transformed into his Super Saiyan form and had his golden yellow aura around his body. Beerus and Yamoshi stared at each other for a few brief seconds, then the two disappeared and reappeared in front of each other, exchanging their first blow, which was so powerful that it generated a gigantic shockwave. This wave generated thousands of cracks in the ground in that dimension, which began to rebuild itself. The two warriors began exchanging blows at an extreme speed that seemed as if the two were standing still and facing each other. But with each blow they exchanged, they collided and generated more cracks, which made the process of rebuilding the dimension difficult, something that left Whis very surprised. The two warriors ended up generating a large wave of impact, and with that Beerus and Yamoshi separated. Beerus released more of his energy, generating a great aura of destruction that suddenly disappeared, and when Yamoshi noticed, Beerus was already in front of him, hitting the goddess of the Saiyans with a well-aimed kick that ended up throwing her away. But the woman quickly managed to recover and place her hands on the ground, turning her body and standing up. Yamoshi looked at her cheek where a little smoke was coming out. Yamoshi had received the blow in that place, and with that the woman ended up smiling and putting herself in a combat stance. Yamoshi took a deep breath and advanced towards Beerus, who did the same thing, and when the two were close, Beerus tried to throw a punch at Yamoshi, who managed to easily dodge the destroyer's blow. Yamoshi hit Beerus's chin, making him remove his feet from the ground, and then Beerus received a punch to his abdomen that threw him away. But using his tail, he managed to balance himself in the air, and the moment he put his feet on the ground, Beerus advanced towards Yamoshi, and the two began a close combat, where most of their blows collided, and some ended up hitting each other. But the blows that Beerus landed barely affected Yamoshi, while Yamoshi's blows affected Beerus a lot, leaving the god of destruction badly hurt. Seeing his injuries, Beerus moved away and raised his power even further and decided to use his full power, and in doing so, he ended up assuming his full form of the God of Destruction, looking very similar to the form that Toppo used during the Tournament of Power. With his full power, Beerus quickly appeared in front of Yamoshi, hitting the Saiyan goddess with an extremely powerful punch that sent her flying at high speed, and when she was still in the air, Yamoshi managed to balance himself and realized that his nose was bleeding, as did her mouth, something that made her very excited. Yamoshi said, "I think it's time for me to go all out," Yamoshi said to himself as he relaxed his muscles and returned to his base form. Beerus was curious about what Yamoshi was going to do at that moment. A divine aura of white color began to emanate from Yamoshi's body, and his hair turned white and began to grow at high speed, and soon a large pillar of white energy appeared in place, and Beerus was forced to create an energy barrier of destruction to protect himself from that divine energy, and soon it was possible to see Yamoshi floating, and his hair was now very long and completely white, and they emanated a large amount of divine energy. Upon feeling all that divine energy, Beerus rushed towards Yamoshi, arming his fist and attacking Yamoshi, who just held his fist as if it were no big deal, which greatly surprised the God of Destruction, who separated himself and began attacking Yamoshi in extreme speed, generating several waves of impact with the God of Destruction's blows that only hit Yamoshi's fists, who easily held the blows. When Beerus tried to move away from the woman, Yamoshi held his leg by the tail, and before Beerus could react, Yamoshi began to attack him at high speed, landing a sequence of blows that Beerus was not able to defend himself from, and when he defended himself, he felt his arms breaking because of those blows, and with each blow that Beerus received, he felt his energy being drained. Beerus, using his last strength, generated a large explosion of energy at close range at Yamoshi, which made them separate, and by the time Beerus managed to recover and look at Yamoshi, he saw that his attack was useless because Yamoshi's long hair protected her. Her clothes had been destroyed, but luckily her hair was covering her body enough to not reveal anything. Tired of that fight, which was kind of fun, Yamoshi ended up generating a sphere of ki and aimed it at Beerus, who generated a barrier around himself, but several currents of energy surrounded Beerus and trapped him, destroying that barrier, and with that, Yamoshi fired his attack in the direction of Beerus, but before the attack could eliminate Beerus, Whis appeared in front of his master and redirected the attack away, generating a gigantic explosion that approached them, but before reaching one of them, they all ended up disappearing and reappearing in the Capsule Corporation. Whis spoke, "This battle is over, there is no need to continue this. Yamoshi, you are clearly stronger than Mr. Beerus, so you are the winner of this fight and you are the strongest in the 7th universe," said Whis, looking at Yamoshi, who smiled in an arrogant way while looking at Beerus, who was very angry at the moment, but wasn't able to do anything at that moment. Guys, with this we will end today's video. I know it's boring, but we'll see you in the next video. Leave lots of likes on the video and comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. So see you another day, guys.